In this presentation, we are going to study a topic which is the most common infection encountered in everyday practice, and the topic is tonsillitis. The tonsillitis can be classified into the two varieties. One is acute and another is chronic. So first we will see the acute tonsillitis. The etiological factors of acute tonsillitis, if we see, age-wise, it frequently occurs up to the age of 15 years, but no age is barred to it. It is seen in both the gender, male as well as female. The predisposing factors responsible for the development of acute tonsillitis are endogenous factors and exogenous factors. In endogenous factors, the first factor is pre-existing URTI. So if the patient is suffering from upper respiratory tract infection, then the infection goes into the tonsils and produces acute tonsillitis. In cases of sinusitis, as there is a drip of post-nasal discharge, it will involve the tonsils and producing tonsillitis. Another factor is residual tonsillar tissue after tonsillectomy. Lowered resistance, general lower resistance, that is another factor, while due to that the tonsils get infected. Another factor is exanthematous infection. In that also, as a part of infection, tonsils get affected. And in blood dyscrasia like agranulocytosis, leukemia, Hodgkin's disease, in that condition also the person has more chances of developing infection and the person may get tonsillitis. The exogenous factors are ingestion of cold drinks and cold food, that is commonly seen in the children. So that is why children commonly suffer from the tonsillitis, acute tonsillitis. Another is contagious diseases, pollution and crowded, ill ventilated environment that may occur as a predisposing factor. Embedded foreign body in the tonsil also predispose the person for development of inflammation in tonsil, and it leads to a acute tonsillitis. The causative organism for acute tonsillitis are upper respiratory gram positive cocci like streptococcus, staphylococcus, pneumococcus, diphtheroid, hemolytic streptococcus that has special affinity for the tonsillitis. So commonly the organism that causes acute tonsillitis, that is hemolytic streptococcus, or the causative organism can be due to the viral causes, so it is called as viral tonsillitis. Clinically it is divided into the acute and chronic tonsillitis, but pathologically the acute tonsillitis is divided into the two varieties. One is parenchymatous and second variety is follicular. In parenchymatous tonsillitis, the tonsils are enlarged and congested, while in follicular tonsillitis, crypts are studded with pus, multiple yellow spots. As you can see here, the crypts are studded with multiple yellow spots on red congested tonsils. The symptoms of acute tonsillitis are raw sensation and pain in throat. Especially in children, one of the important feature that will be present, refusal to eat. The voice of the person will become thick and muffled, and on examination in the neck, the jugulodigestic lymph nodes may be enlarged and painful. Apart from that, the person may have also other constitutional symptoms like malaise, fever, etc. may be present. The signs that are present in acute tonsillitis are the tonsils are swollen and congested. The secretion will be increased and tenacious. On checking the movement of palate, it becomes impeded due to the pain. Another sign that will be presence of bad smell from the mouth, halitosis. Jugulodigestic nodes also get enlarged and tender. Now coming to the differential diagnosis of acute tonsillitis. So first you have to differentiate acute tonsillitis with the diphtheria. In diphtheria, what you found is the pulse is out of proportion to fever and the pulse will be weak. So that differentiate one of the differentiating feature with the tonsillitis, in which the pulse will be in proportion to the fever. There will be a presence of marked toxemic symptoms. Apart from that, there will be a presence of a diphtheric membrane which separates with difficulty and leaves a raw bleeding surface, and the diphtheric membrane may extend beyond the tonsil. So that is the another differentiating feature with the tonsillitis in the diphtheria. The lymph nodes will be markedly enlarged and it gives bull neck appearance in the diphtheria, which is not present in the tonsillitis. And there is often presence of albuminuria in the diphtheria. So that is the differentiating feature of diphtheria with the tonsillitis. Now second differential diagnosis is Vincent's angina. I have spelling mistake here. It is Vincent's angina. In this condition, it may be unilateral or bilateral. Fever is high initially and the causative organism are spirochete and Bacillus fusiformis, which can be readily demonstrable in the wet hanging drop preparation. The another differential diagnosis is quinsy. In quinsy, the pain will be severe, unilateral and accompanied by swelling of anterior pillar and edema of the uvula. So that are the marked features in the quinsy that is not present in the tonsillitis. Differential diagnosis with the thrush. Thrush is a fungal infection by Candida albicans, and here the lesions will appear as a white curd-like patches. Another differential diagnosis is with the herpes. In herpes, there will be a presence of painful single or multiple ulcers which are often present in the row. So that is how it differentiates with the tonsillitis. Another differential diagnosis with acute tonsillitis is infectious mononucleosis. In this condition, you will find high monocyte count seen usually in the young adults. The lymph nodes may be involved in the upper part of the body, other parts of the body. The diagnosis is made by Paul Bunnell test. Another differential diagnosis, that is a scarlet fever. Here there will be a presence of punctate erythematous rash. The patient may have a strawberry tongue. And the last differential diagnosis is blood dyscrasia that will result into the gangrenous tonsillitis. Now the complications of acute tonsillitis. One of the complication is development of quinsy, which means a tonsillar or peritonsillar abscess that occur in the adults. Another complication is development of laryngeal edema, or it can cause a parapharyngeal or retropharyngeal abscess. Another complication is development of acute otitis media, which is the very frequent complication. Another complication, it develops a septic focus and it results into the aggravation of rheumatism, subacute bacterial endocarditis and acute nephritis, or it may result into the septicemia, but it is rare. Chronic tonsillitis may occur following the repeated attacks. The treatment of acute tonsillitis is bed rest and soft diet that is advised to the patient. Apart from that, the antibiotics are used, analgesics are used to relieve the pain, and the patient is also advised for warm saline gargles, which gives soothing effect to the patient. Another treatment, that is with the help of lozenges with local anesthetic action. It may be also comforting to the patient. Now the another variety, that is chronic tonsillitis. It is the commonest chronic infection and it is characterized by recurrent acute attacks. The etiology is very similar to the acute tonsillitis and the symptoms are recurrent pain in the throat that may occur due to the attacks of acute tonsillitis. The interval between the two attacks may be variable. Another symptom, cough, often present with the tonsillitis. There may be a presence of halitosis due to the cheesy material in the tonsillar crypts, and there is a presence of quiescent phase. So patient may have a vague discomfort in the throat with irritation and pain, and often patient is completely asymptomatic in between the phase. Now in chronic tonsillitis, on examination of tonsils, in case of parenchymatous tonsillitis, there will be a presence of hypertrophied tonsils which are congested, particularly along the anterior pillars. And in follicular tonsillitis, the tonsils appear normal or are small and fibrotic, and there may be a yellowish cheesy debris in the crypts of tonsil. On squeezing, the pus will ooze out from the tonsils. There may be a development of retention cyst which appears a cystic yellowish swelling containing yellowish liquid and debris. And on examination of the neck, a persistent enlarged jugulodigestic lymph nodes will be there. Now in case of chronic tonsillitis, it may produce effect on distant organ of the body and acting as a septic focus due to the bacteremia, or because of allergic reaction to the bacteria and products of inflammation. The treatment of chronic tonsillitis is nutritious diet and vitamins, which may help the resolution of mild cases of tonsillitis. It can be treated with antibiotics and analgesics when the acute attack is present. And the last way of the treatment is with the removal of tonsil, that is called as tonsillectomy. It is advised for the patient having stubborn chronic tonsillitis.